Well, welcome to the Backlot. My name is Pat Roy.
And I'm Kyle Justice.
And together we're
the Creation Guys.
There you go. Kyle, why are we calling this the Backlot?
Well, we have a ton of footage that we've never even used on some of our documentaries that we do. And we want to bring some of that to you, but also behind the scenes of different people that we featured and experts, and maybe get more information, because there's only so much time in a documentary that you can feature, right?
Right. Plus, you and I have been producing creation-oriented media for 30 years. We both have kind of similar backgrounds, and because of that, I've got a bunch of stuff sitting in my back lot. You've got a lot sitting in your back lot. So it's kind of like a Hollywood back lot where they keep all the props, and then every once in a while you bring one out and you dust it off or something like that, or something maybe from a new project. We'll be able to bring that out and show you maybe some of the behind the scenes of things that we're doing.
Yeah, and even go out on the road a little bit maybe on the show, right?
Right, exactly. So we have some plans later this year to head to some cool locations, and it's all designed to really build faith, right? The scientific evidence for creation.
That's right.
So that's that's really So we're hoping that you guys will enjoy our new series. We're really looking forward to it. By the way, Kyle, I was out wandering in the back lot today, and I actually found somebody wandering around in the back lot out there.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Could you guess who it is?
Bigfoot?
No.
Oh, darn.
I don't even think.
Could be the missing link, right?
Dr. Faulkner, welcome.
Hey,
welcome to the back lot, Dr. Faulkner. Now, you don't have big feet, right? You couldn't actually be considered.
I'm size 8.5.
Okay, very good. Dr. Faulkner, thank you for being on our broadcast today. I really appreciate you joining us. Recently, you joined us in our documentary called Faith on the Edge. Matter of fact, Dr. Faulkner, it all kind of started with you because you're an astronomer with Answers in Genesis, and you've actually been working on this flat Earth thing for quite a while, haven't you?
Yes, a little over 3 years. I became aware of it in February of 2016.
Okay, great. Well, listen, we want to welcome you to the show, and to do that, we went to no expense. We went to absolutely no expense. We wanted to give you this beautiful award here, and it's just this incredibly beautiful award. By the way, the show today is being sponsored by the Dollar Tree, and we would love to send this to you to keep on your desk for all times.
Did you just say no expense, right?
We went to no expense.
No expense.
By the way, we've got this beautiful light that sits under it. Kyle, I don't know if you want to set that over there.
Well, it turns green,
It's just
too.
Absolutely beautiful. It's a very prestigious award, and we just want
to
thank you so much. We wanted to award that to you.
It's the first guest award, the Dr. Danny we will be proud for this to sit on your desk, too, Dr. Faulkner.
Now, you'll notice we've got a globe.
Yes,
we've also got a jet flying around the curve there. So.
All right. And since it's blue, we can call it the Blue Globe Award.
There you go.
Wow.
The first recipient of the Blue Globe Award.
Not to be confused with the Golden Globe Award.
Exactly.
Globe? Did I hear globe?
So now, Dr. Faulkner, we thought it'd be kind of fun since right now we're trying to get the word out about our new documentary, and you played a huge part of that. Dr. Faulkner, you've also been to some Flat Earth conferences, haven't you?
Yes, if I'm going to be taken seriously as a critic of the Flat Earth movement, I have to do my due diligence. I have to do my research. And over the past 3+ years, I've read several books, some from more than 100 years ago and some from this century. I've read much on the internet. I've done a lot of interaction. I have watched an incredible amount of YouTube videos on this, more than I care to admit to. And I've also gone to the first 2 Flat Earth International conferences. The first one was in near Raleigh, North Carolina in November of 2017. And the second one was in Denver in November of 2018. By the way, the third one will be in Dallas in November of 2019. I don't know yet if I'm going to go. I've been giving it some serious thought. I may indeed go again.
So what's it like at a Flat Earth conference? What happens at a Flat Earth conference?
Well, they have different presentations by different people. It's been organized by Robbie Davidson. If you studied Flat Earth movement much at all, you've encountered that name. Rob Skiba is one of the speakers, Mark Sargent, Patricia Steer. There have been a number of other people out there that have been recognized as sort of movers and shakers in the Flat Earth movement. So they're there to give their presentations. They even had Mad Mike, the guy that launched himself with a steam-powered rocket last year. He was there, had his limo that he drives, and then he had his rocket that he built and nearly killed himself with. And he was there. He didn't speak really. He was interviewed briefly, but he had a booth there in the hall. The people, it lasts over 2 days. It starts usually on a Friday, runs through Thursday and Friday. Yes, Thursday and Friday usually happens. They often have a billboard that they put up on the freeway nearby. I missed going out to the billboard at the first meeting, but the second meeting I got there on Wednesday afternoon, and everybody was abuzz in the hotel about going out there. So I hopped in a car with people. We drove out there, and there are hundreds of people out there along the interstate next to this billboard. They were having a rally and getting pictures and so forth. I went to the first conference very apprehensive. I didn't know how my presence would be accepted. I was fearful that people might be pretty angry with me for being there, not being a flat earther and actually being a critic. So I tried to kind of slide under the radar a bit, but few people did recognize me, and word got around. And of course, people you're sitting next to would ask you, well, how long have you believed in flat Earth, and how did you get into flat Earth, and how do you answer the questions like that without saying, well, I'm not a flat earther? So I was a little nervous, actually quite a bit nervous, because again, I had no idea what kind of reception I would get. And I'm very pleased to let everybody know that I could not have been treated better. When people met me that found I wasn't a flat earther, they were very happy to see me. They told me, well, we're glad you're here. A few of them asked me questions. Well, what are you doing here? And I tried to explain it to them. They said, well, that's cool. I didn't have one person get angry with me. And so my misgivings were really that. They were misgivings. And so I went to the second meeting with a very different attitude. The first time I kind of wanted to be by myself and just be a fly on the wall, as it were, and see what's going on and listen and learn. The second one, I wanted to listen and learn, go to all the meetings, but I also wanted to interact with people. So I did. I went out of my way to introduce myself and ask people about things. And I kind of did an informal interview with people a lot. I would ask them several questions like, well, how long have you been into flat Earth? And what caused you to become a flat earther? What changed your mind? What kind of journey did you have? Was there a kind of a big aha moment or some very important bit of information that really convinced you? I would ask them then specific questions about their model. How big is the dome? How far above the Earth are the sun and the moon? What are the sun and moon made out of? What causes eclipses? Obviously, I was asking some questions related to astronomy because that's what I'm mostly interested in. And so I would then ask different questions of different people as the interview kind of rolled along. Again, very informal. I didn't have a set list of questions. I did ask similar questions of most people I talked to. And I really did that so I could find out what causes these people to tick. What's their thinking? How do they get there? What keeps them there? And when people found, a lot of them didn't know I wasn't a flat earther, and sometimes they would find out, sometimes they wouldn't. And then when if they found out I wasn't a flat earther, then they would start asking me questions at some point. Often, not always. And of course, during social times in the evenings and between sessions, people would come around and talk. I had several people keep coming back to me and asking me questions. And I made it a point not to go there to argue. I wasn't there to debate. I wasn't there to convince anybody. I was there just simply to interact and to learn and to listen. So it was a pleasurable experience all the way around. These people are friendly for the most part and outgoing. And I appreciate that. I like their attitude in those cases. It's a refreshing and surprising. I really thought that some would be wroth with me, but they weren't. It was a good experience, and I would love to go back again.
Dr. Faulkner, I know that I've gotten to interact with a lot of people on our Facebook, and kind of, it grieves me. I've noticed that on both sides, both on the round Earth side and on the flat Earth side, it seems like people are just really attacking each other viciously. But every once in a while, there's been somebody that seems like they've been very, very nice and all of that. And so I've actually ended up contacting them and actually even having some long phone calls with some of the people that have been talking to us on our Facebook page. And once we get past the shape of the Earth, it seems like there's some great Christian fellowship that can happen there, right? So as we've been doing this documentary, we've been trying to make it clear that, the shape of the Earth is not a salvation issue. It's all about Christ, but it's got some big spiritual implications, right?
I agree with that completely. Now, keep in mind that not everybody in the Flat Earth movement profess to be Christians. It's difficult to ascertain how many. It's a large segment of that movement. If it's not a majority, it would be a plurality, I would think. But there are many non-Christians in the movement. That people frequently say at these conferences and elsewhere, there are no atheists among flat earthers. I think that's because the flat Earth with a dome over top is such a contrived cosmology. No one would, in the right mind, would think that happened naturally. But that doesn't automatically lead you to the God of the Scriptures. It could be any number of different types of gods there. So there's a broad range of theology involved there, Christian and non-Christian. However, and I think you would agree with this, we're most concerned with that Christian version or Christian aspect of that. People who say that they're flat earthers primarily because that is what they think the Bible teaches. I think those are the people I want to interact with. Those are the people I want to talk to because that hits close to home. It gets down to questions of biblical truth. And again, most of them would make very clear it's not a salvation issue. But we need to talk to these people and establish some sort of dialogue with them.
Well, I think it's great that you're going right to the location where they're meeting. Now, at like the Creation Museum and the Ark Encounter, more where your office is, are you finding people coming who believe in the flat Earth to the two locations?
Increasingly so. I've talked to people at other creation ministries. Again, I first became aware of this movement more than 3 years ago, and I began to raise the alarm here and at other creation ministries. And when I did, I kind of got this feeling that some of my coworkers were thinking, well, there goes Danny again, off on some sort of weird rabbit trail or something. Right. But it turns out our speakers that go on the road and speak frequently here, they're increasingly getting that question. We have correspondence that comes in via email and telephone calls where people are increasingly raising that question. And I get reports from other creation ministries as well. Whenever they have speakers go out, sometimes in correspondences, they're getting the same question coming up and up again and again and again. And it seems to be a movement that's still trending. It's not peaked out yet, as near as I can tell. Here at Answers in Genesis, the Creation Museum and Ark Encounter, we're not getting very belligerent people at all in this. They sometimes in Q&A they'll raise the question. Sometimes after your talk they'll come down and ask you about it. Sometimes it's because they have a friend that's into it or whatever. Sometimes maybe they're entertaining it. Who knows? Maybe they are flat earthers themselves. But most of the people that I've heard from or heard about have been rather polite so far. There are some real firebrands out there, but they've not really come after us as near as I can tell.
Yeah. And what do you feel like?
I might add, we have gotten a few angry emails from people telling us to remove them from our mailing list. They're never going to support us again and this sort of stuff. But those seem to be the minority.
And what did you feel like when you went to the conference? What did you glean or what did you gain as new information to help you as you understand people who are in the flat Earth?
Well, I was hoping a lot of the presentations would give me more information, but at the first one particularly, I didn't learn much, if anything, new. It was all stuff I had seen before, but that was the first meeting, and it was kind of almost like a pep rally, a place where people could go and say, well, the whole huge room full of hundreds of people like me, and many of these people do feel persecuted, and they don't want to talk about it, publicly at work and with their friends and family and so forth. So it's kind of an affirming thing the first time around. The second time around, they had some parallel sessions going on, so they had more presentations, and I did encounter a few things at that second meeting that I had not seen before. That was kind of a step up from the previous meeting where I had not really seen much. So I'm always there to learn what's going on, any new ideas that are coming about in the flat Earth movement. But for me, it was the most important part was the interaction between people. And if you've ever been to any kind of convention, I've gone to a number of astronomy conventions. I've gone to creation conventions, and that is one of those key things that takes place. You don't think of that, but that besides the formal presentations going on, there's a lot of opportunity for personal interaction to talk to people and find out what's going on. And I think that's very valuable at the Flat Earth movement, Flat Earth conferences as well.
Okay, so I have a question for you, Dr. Faulkner, because I think a lot of people that we've come across, Kyle, they go, wait, Flat Earth, really? It's 2019.
Yeah.
Do people really believe this? But the other thing we've been finding is that as we're talking to a lot of Christians and interacting with them online or by telephone or meetings we've been at, is that I think almost every Christian now at least knows of a cousin or a friend or somebody who now believes in the flat earth, right? And I think a lot of Christians don't understand how deep this goes or even how to really respond to one of their friends that does believe in the flat earth. Dr. Faulkner, you've actually spent time at these conventions interacting with the flat earthers here. What's a great way to talk to them? How do you approach somebody who believes in the flat earth?
Well, I think you should ask them questions and let them answer the questions. When I was interviewing people at the conferences, at the conference, most recent one, I had to bite my tongue a lot because when I was interviewing them, asking them specific questions about what they believed, they would tell me things that I knew were false. I mean, just blatantly, patently were false.
Right.
And I was so tempted to interrupt them and say, wait a minute, that's not true. And then I had to say to myself inside, no, that's not why you're here. You're not here to argue. You're not here to convince them. You're just here to learn. Unfortunately, if a person is heavily invested into flat earth, I have found it's extremely difficult to change their minds. And I'm going to be very blunt here. I don't even try anymore. Most of my discussion is directed towards people who are sitting on the fence. People have heard about this. They're curious. They hear arguments on the internet or other places in favor of flat earth, and they can't find answers to those questions. And so the work that I do, the writings I do, the speaking I do, I try to offer answers to those questions for people. One man I engaged with at the last Flat Earth conference, somebody had known before, not well, but I'd known. I got to know him a lot better. And at the end of the conference, the next morning, getting ready to leave, we're having breakfast, and he told me later that I more or less convinced him the Earth wasn't flat. He had been going that way strongly, but he asked me a lot of questions. And he said I can answer every one of his questions. And that's the way you have to approach these people. If they have questions, answer the questions. Now, most people are not prepared to answer the kind of questions that flat earthers bring up. And this is a key point. The flat earthers ask a very good epistemological question. Epistemology is the study of knowledge. Basically, it's how we know what we know. And epistemology is a very important subject. And in my many, many years of teaching, I discovered several things. One thing is that all my students at least used to believe the Earth was a globe, but I found that none of them could give me a good argument for that. I said, well, you've just been like good little Nazis. You were told, you were indoctrinated and told that the Earth is a sphere, but no one ever convinced you of that. You've just been told repeatedly. And the flat earthers are correct about that. You know, people have been indoctrinated about the Earth being a globe, but they've never been instructed. Proper teaching, proper education is not easy. It requires a lot. So I'd blow my students away. I think I would point out that the common mythology we have is everybody thought the world was flat until the time of Columbus 5 centuries ago, and somehow that changed everything. And I would point out several problems with that, like the fact that Columbus sailed from Spain to the Caribbean and back 4 times. He never went around the world. How does that prove the world is a sphere? And people never thought about that. And then I pointed out that more than 2,000 years ago, people, at least in the West, became aware that the Earth was a sphere. Aristotle wrote about it in 350 BC, and he was highly regarded in his day and ever since. So throughout the ancient world, late ancient world, and on into throughout the Middle Ages, people were reading Aristotle and other people. They were well aware the Earth was a sphere. So, how do you know that? How did Aristotle know those sorts of questions? Most of my students would want to go immediately to pictures from space, but even back 30 years ago, I'd ask my students, well, can pictures be faked? This is long before flat earthers were asking that question, by the way. And the obvious answer is, yeah, you could fake that. so in this, we've had space probes now, 60 years? Before that, people believed the Earth was a sphere. So how did they know that? So again, flat earthers raise an excellent epistemological question. Unfortunately, they don't, after raising the question, they don't answer it very well. I try to provide answers to people. I tell people that, and it's true, in my studies of the flat earth movement, I have not encountered a flat earth argument yet that I couldn't refute. Some of them pretty easily and pretty quickly, but because I know a lot about astronomy and about physics and so forth. Others are tricky. Some I encounter from time to time. I'll think to myself, well, what's the answer to that? I have to think about it for a while. It's not an obvious answer. So I recognize that most people are not prepared to handle this. It's sort of like when members of a cult come to knocking at your front door. It would be really great to show them how they're in error. But the problem is, very few Christians are really prepared and know the information and know the relevant scriptures enough to really do that. So most experts will tell you, if you don't know what you're doing, just thank them and ask them to leave and be done with it. You're going to end up with your head tied in knots. And the average person who's never studied the flat earth movement or studied things relevant why we think the earth is a sphere, when they first encounter flat earth arguments, they don't have answers for them. They go to their friends and family, they ask the same questions, and their friends and family don't have answers for them. In fact, many will just dismiss them and say, well, that's just stupid, and you don't need to be talking about that. And that's not an answer at all. And this is how I think it hooks people in, because they can't find answers. So it's tricky. There's no one-size-fits-all sort of counsel that I can offer to people who have friends and family who are flat earthers. You're going to have to listen. You're going to have to spend a considerable amount of time investigating the claims, checking out resources. I've written extensively on it. I have a book coming out soon on the subject. You have your video, one of the first videos out there responding to the flat earth movement. And I have many articles, my articles online at the Answers in Genesis website. So there are resources, meager as they are yet, but there are answers people can find.
Right. And speaking of that, Dr. Faulkner, we are out of time, but I would love to have you come back on the program again, if you're willing to do that. I would love to talk to you more in depth about that. But you bring up a good point, is people need to become equipped. And Kyle, you and I got into this, and we got to interview Dr. Faulkner. We got to interview General Charlie Duke, who was the Capcom for Apollo 11, also on the Apollo 16 mission. Somebody who's a Christian who's actually seen the shape of the earth with their own eyes. We talked to Dr. Stephen Boyd, who's an expert in Hebrew with Calvary University. Mm-hmm. And we also got to meet Victor Brewer, and we all got to go on a balloon launch together, a weather balloon launch. And that's all in our documentary called Faith on the Edge. Yeah. If somebody's interested, how do they see it?
Well, it's on our main page of our website at thecreationguys.com. There's a video on demand version where you could rent or purchase. And then there's the DVD, and that also comes with an HD online copy. So you get the best of both worlds that way. So it's out. It's coming out real soon, and they can go there to order a copy.
Dr. Faulkner, Kyle, we did our first episode. Woohoo! The Backlot. Thanks for being here. So, Dr. Faulkner, for those people who are not familiar with Answers in Genesis, can you tell us what that is? What do you guys do?
Answers in Genesis is a major creation ministry. It's located in northern Kentucky in the suburban Cincinnati area. It was founded by Ken Ham and a few other people more than 25 years ago. We're probably most famous for the Creation Museum here in northern Kentucky, and as well as the Ark Encounter, also in northern Kentucky, about 45 minutes away. The Ark Encounter is a full-scale replica of what the Ark might have looked like using biblical dimensions. We have displays inside to talk about the Ark and the flood and the causes and how life on the Ark might have been like. The museum is a Creation Museum. It's just that it's a museum dedicated to showing people the truth of God's creation. So we get quite a few visitors here every year. We get hundreds of thousands of people here at the museum, and over 1 million people a year at the Ark.
Wow! And
we also do a lot more than that. We have a very active website. It's answersingenesis.org. We have tens of thousands of articles. The content changes every day. I have numerous articles myself up there. We produce the Answers Research Journal. It's an online technical journal dealing with creation. We have a magazine called Answers Magazine. It comes out 6 issues a year. We produce a 4-year cycle Sunday school curriculum. We're one of the major producers of VBS material. We do publish books. We also produce DVDs of various types. So we try to cover the full range of creation ministry and defense of the authority of God's Word from the very beginning of Genesis throughout the rest of the Bible.
Now, Dr. Faulkner, one of the things I love is I go on the website all the time, and you've got a search engine, and it is so cool because you can type in just about anything. I mean, you could type in Big Bang, you could type in Lucy, 8-man fossil, you could type in all of these things, and there are scholarly...
Bigfoot?
What's up with you and this Bigfoot thing? There is no Bigfoot.
We're in the Northwest. I mean,
really, that's a thing here,
Yes.
huh? I'm kind of new. I have not personally met Bigfoot yet.
Sorry, I interrupted. I digress. Go ahead.
Well, no, it's kind of neat because the search engine at Answers in Genesis, you could literally type in just about anything, and all these
Dr.
articles.
Dr. Faulkner's typing in Bigfoot.
I'm searching on Bigfoot. I need to put it in quotes.
Now, are you searching on the Answers in Genesis website right now?
I am, and actually there are 2 articles that
Whoa! Loch Ness Monster.
I know nothing about them. One of them is, both of these for over 10 years ago. One is called What You Didn't See.
Okay.
And the other one is Pseudoscience and Creation Museum, and I think both of them are mentioning, unfortunately, Kyle, Bigfoot in not a supportive way. But yeah, Bigfoot's even mentioned a couple of times. It's not an article about Bigfoot, but Bigfoot is mentioned.
How about the chupacabra?
The search engine on our website is very good. I use it quite frequently. This morning I've used it once already. I was responding to an email to somebody, and they were asking me about a particular topic, and I'd written an article on it. So I was, in my response, I said, here's an article. And what I did is I went to our website, typed in what I could do to find my article, clicked on it, copied and pasted the URL, and posted it to my response to him. So it's a very searchable site. And I tell people that when I tell them about the website, if you go there and there's an article, you're looking for something and you think it ought to be there, and we have nothing on it, let us know, and we'll probably see if we can get someone to write it. I've had since I've been at AIG, I've had several items like that dealing with matters that we've never discussed, and so I took it upon myself to write them. One of them was you probably heard this story a long time about the Joshua's Long Day being proved by NASA computers back in the 60s.
Yeah.
You've heard that story, right?
Yeah.
It's not true, by the way.
Well, it's creationist, yeah. We've heard that over and over again, right? It's not true? No, we knew that, right?
Turns out we didn't have an article about that. Oh. So I was specifically asked by the person running our Hispanic ministry. He says, across Latin America, that thing's just lighting up. So he said, can you write something on it? I said, sure. So what I did is I wrote it for our English side, and they got it put up, and then they very quickly translated it into Spanish. So it's primarily intended for the Latin side of our website, the Spanish side of our website, but it's on either now. So if there are items out there or things that need to be discussed that aren't, then we do that. And quite frequently, people here at the ministry send me articles in the news dealing with astronomy or physics that they say, hey, would this be a good idea for an article? I said, sure. So sometimes I say sure, sometimes I say no. But I write probably at least a couple articles a month of that type.
Well, I
have one.
Go ahead.
I have a blog coming out soon. It'll be before Resurrection Sunday, the end of the month, dealing with a quirk about the date of Easter this year. So a little funny thing there that I thought was interesting and worthy of note.
Well, very good. I know that with the many documentaries that I produced, our Awesome Science series, I mean, that was a huge resource in writing scripts for our creation content. So I greatly appreciate what AIG has done. It's amazing.
Thanks for being here today.
You bet.